I'm Scott Hess, tax and business consultant.
I'm John Barton, small business owner. Remember the tortoise and the hare? Slow and steady wins the race.
We started Turtlesmith to help people start small businesses, providing information and resources to small business owners and entrepreneurs.
Build a solid foundation and forge your dreams.
Hey, welcome to Turtlesmith Live. My name is Scott Hess. I'm a tax and business consultant. With me is John Barton.
I am a serial entrepreneur and a chronic lazy person.
Chronically, I like that. I like that. I wish I was a lazy person. I am dying right now during tax season. It's
I wish
horrible.
I could help you.
I mean, there's just no, it has to be done by me, and it's just a lot of little things. That's the problem. If it was one big project, I feel like I'd have a lot less stress because I could just, I'm working on one big thing, but I have to do so many little tiny things, and then clients always have adjustments or things they forgot to tell me, and it's just a real pain. I spend more time waiting for programs to open and load than I do anything else.
Oh,
just staring at the buffering screen. Very annoying. Very annoying. Well, what are we talking about today? You and Calvin put this episode together. I was in the weeds. Why don't you lead us in?
Well, so today's topic is going to be AI and government use, particularly the Department of Defense. So the news of the day is that the company Anthropic, who has an AI called Claude.
Okay.
It's interesting that they name all these AIs just with normal names.
I feel like so when they take over the world, it'll be just like, oh, hey, there's Claude running stuff.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Be a little bit easier to take.
But anyway, they have a $200 million contract on the table, and Anthropic does not want their AI used for any kind of weapons targeting, any kind of lethal use.
All right.
They also do not want their AI used for surveillance.
Fair enough.
Mass surveillance, right?
Fair enough.
And the current Department of Defense, under the current Defense Secretary, I hesitate to say that with a straight face, but they are insisting that Anthropic give them the ability to use Claude any way they want to use it. So if they want to install it into autonomous weapon systems.
Now, is Anthropic a private company or is it publicly traded?
They are a public company, I believe.
Publicly traded.
I believe.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. But the allegedly they're heading towards a $380 billion valuation or something. So, I mean, whether they're private or not, they're big. So the current fight is, as I understand it, is that the government is threatening to either designate them as a national security threat, or they're threatening to invoke the Defense Production Act, which allows them to essentially draft the company into service of the government and force them to allow them to use it whichever way they want.
Okay. I just looked this up because I feel like it makes a difference in my mind. But Anthropic is a private company right now.
Okay.
They're pre-IPO, but they're structured as a public benefit corporation, which is kind of like a blend between a regular corporation and a nonprofit corporation. So they have to balance their profit with the public mission. So there's a slight bit of legal oversight, but for all intents and purposes, it's a private company. So the government is telling a private company what they have to do with their own product.
Right. In order to get the contract, to have the contract with the government.
Okay. But what if they just say, oh, no worries, we just won't do the contract with you?
Well, that's where the Defense Production Act comes in, where they want to essentially force. It's like in World War II when the government forced companies to change their production lines from cars to tanks and things like that.
I feel like most of the companies were on board, though, in the 40s. We were fighting the evil Nazis.
They probably were, but, I'm sure there were companies that didn't want to give, like, the percentage of production to the government that the government wanted.
Right.
So there's probably some back and forth there.
So it's basically like they're drafting the company.
Yeah, they're basically telling the company, we want to take your product and use it, for, I mean, look at it a different way, right? What if it was a company that made a drug, that helped people, but if you tweak that drug a little bit, then it can kill people, as a bioweapon.
Yeah. Or you get down the
And-
conspiracy theory route of like, what if they created a drug that actually cured a bunch of stuff and ruined the medical sector? Do you think that's hidden in a bunker somewhere?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Mm-mm.
All right. I always hear that conspiracy theory that they cured cancer a long time ago and it's just hidden away
Yeah,
because it's more profitable to treat than cure.
I'm sure that they'll find ways to be profitable no matter what
Yeah, fair.
it is. But
Sorry, I didn't
But
mean
yeah,
to sidetrack us.
it's
I
just one of
apologize.
these things right here where, like what does it mean to be a private company, or even if they were a public company, it would still be not owned by the government. And then have the government come in and basically say, hey, either you voluntarily allow us to do what we want with your product, or we will just take it.
Yeah, that's crazy to me, especially in this AI thing. Like, they've developed a product that they're proud of and that they're excited to present to the world. And they've told the government that they can use it for certain things, but not everything that the government wants to use it for. That I'm catched up, right? I caught up to what everything going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, all right, what's going on here? So the ultimatum, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has given Anthropic until tomorrow to grant the military unfettered access to its models.
Okay. And if they refuse, then they're going to do this Defense Production Act, DPA, which drafts it. And so they just say that we need this for national security. And then the government just gets, whenever the government throws around national security, they just get to kind of do whatever they want, right?
That's, I think, what they're saying.
Okay. And then Anthropic, the CEO, Dario, I always
Amodei.
am tough with these last names. Yeah, Amodei is holding the line against using Claude for autonomous lethal targeting and domestic mass surveillance. That's great. It's great. I'm excited for him. But that's not going to
How
happen.
about it being excited for us?
Right. Yeah, it's good. We don't want the government using it for mass surveillance. That's crazy.
I mean, but don't they already do that?
Yeah,
Who?
I've wondered that
government.
before. I mean, all our phones listen, right? Whenever I talk about something, I see an ad for it the next day.
I mean, we have the documented proof with the whole Edward Snowden thing, right?
Right.
So I think what that comes down to is what Edward Snowden put out was that we were amassing a lot of data. So we're basically listening to everything.
Right.
Again, that has not been proven.
Yeah.
Right.
But now AI can run through it all because that's always been the
Exactly.
problem.
That's
right?
the thing. AI can do pattern recognition,
Mhm.
can go through all that data and build highly targeted profiles, with whatever data they've got.
Oh man, what was that?
So
movie?
they can literally predict.
Yeah, if something's gonna. What was that movie where they had the like aliens or something that like predicted that you were going to be a murderer and they arrested you before you committed the
So a
murder?
minority
That
report?
wasn't,
Yeah,
that
you think
wasn't
that's-
aliens.
Is that the
was-
new thing? You think that's what they're going to do with this
Yeah,
AI?
that's
Like one day
basically-
the door is going to get kicked in and be like, Scott, we thought that you seem like a criminal because of your profile, so we're putting you in like a re-education camp.
It's either that or the Terminator scenario.
What's the Terminator scenario?
Skynet becoming self-aware and
Yeah,
targeting all the
yeah.
humans on Earth.
Yeah, that's what do they call that? The singularity, right? When a computer can build a computer smarter than itself.
Yeah.
But I mean, it goes back to this, right? It's like the old adage of, show me a man and I'll find a crime that fits him.
Right.
Well,
And to be fair, I think most people are one bad day away from committing a heinous crime. I mean, maybe that's too much of a generalization, but like maybe it's multiple bad days in a row. But a lot of people can get steered down the wrong path.
From a psychological standpoint, I would not necessarily agree that they're one bad day away.
Yeah.
But
maybe multiple.
There was a really good movie about that too, I think in the 90s called Falling Down.
Yeah. Where he just was having a bad
He
day.
just finally just snapped.
Yep.
But I think that this is the risk here is not necessarily, that they want to prevent people from committing heinous or violent crimes. They want people to just be controlled so that, for example, opposition to certain policies and things like that, can be tamped down. So if you're able to chill speech, for example,
Mm-hmm.
if you want people to keep their heads down and just go about their day and do their whatever their business is, and not pop up and not join organizations that resist whatever the government's
Just
doing,
make it harder to find, harder to get in. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So if the government,
Means
for
of
example,
control.
if you're a business owner who is not necessarily on board with whatever the government's doing, well, if the government has such a detailed, deep profile on you, they can start to put pressure on you in many different ways. They can do the whole shit rolls downhill, and they can pressure the state DA or the city DA, the county DA to look into your business or go after you.
That brings up like a really interesting thought, and I don't mean to sidetrack us a little, but if this were to go through all of our stuff and come up with like some businesses or people or individuals that maybe were considered undesirable or against the government. You have been a little outspoken, particularly on Facebook, about like Trump and the government and some of the things that are happening. I wonder if in this new world where Anthropic's Claude can mine all of this data, if your advertising wouldn't work as well. Like maybe you wouldn't get out there as much. Your Facebook would be harder to find. Just little tweaks to make your life more difficult.
That's exactly what would happen.
That's wild to me.
That's exactly what we're talking about right here, right? This mass surveillance with the ability to do pinpoint, actionable, things against people, or against businesses.
So when do you think that your moral stance or your political stance or your just personal stance on stuff, when does it become a little bit of a liability to the company? I mean, you've built a brand based around you, and it's been very successful. But are there other companies out there or problems you think that people sometimes, if they take a moral stance or a personal stance, that it can be a risk to their company?
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw what happened when Bud Light made a beer can.
Oh yeah,
with for a trans woman, and they said, "Hey, congratulations on your first year of womanhood." Right. And they made one freaking 6-pack of beer, and sent it to her.
Right. And then next thing you know, Kid Rock shooting them with a machine gun or something.
Yeah,
right?
people are boycotting them. That cost them, several billions of dollars for the boycott and everything. And that was public sentiment.
Right. Now they got Shane Gillis redoing the ads.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys a question before we get on to the questions in the chat here. Does it change your mind if you think about it from the aspect of the Pentagon has already started using this AI and incorporated it with its systems? For it not to have unfettered access, then that means it would have to get rid of it and find another system. Do you think about it in the terms of national security based upon what Claude has been able to access and the security concerns on what it would have stored in its time being in the Pentagon's computer system?
I mean, I know we're talking about Claude today, but eventually somebody with less morals than the CEO of Anthropic is going to create an AI, and they're going to sell it to the government. And the government's going to do whatever they want with it.
I can only imagine that like Elon Musk right now is jumping up and going, pick me, you know, and I'm betting he's like putting out feelers out there going, look, I'll make Grok do anything you want.
So, I mean, in all reality, it's Calvin, you said that they've already integrated it into their system.
Yeah, and that's like the way that I kind of see it is it's almost too late for Anthropic to take a moral stand after already making the deal and incorporating it into the Department of Defense's network. And so it's almost like right now we're too thick in the thieves for with each other for this to not be allowed.
Well, I don't agree with that. I think that they can claw it back if they wanted to, and Anthropic can take that stance. I think as a private business, you should be able to take the stance of, I don't want you to use my product for this. But that just gets to the bigger question of what do they go to next? Because that's what they want. They clearly want something that has just no lines that they can do anything that they want with.
First of all, let's talk about the money. $200 million is like not even a rounding error these days on the budget of the Pentagon.
Of our 38 trillion in debt or whatever we're at.
So, this is a very small amount in the grand scheme of things. As far as the data that Claude has, like it goes into the systems and I'm not sure what they're using it for exactly. But one of the things I saw in here was that Claude has demonstrated the ability to go in and find exploits in the code and fix it. So what are called 0-day exploits. So 0-day exploits are things in the code that no one knows about, that hackers who know it, right, can exploit it at any time. So they can deliver a payload because they've got access. And
Right.
usually the only way you find these things is by having people go in and explore your systems, so-called white hat hackers,
Right.
to go in and try to find all these places that could be exploited.
Right.
And Claude demonstrated that it could go in and fix like 500 of them at once, like easily find them and fix them and patch them, so I can see how that the Defense Department, would be, by the way, I refuse to call it the Department of War. That's stupid.
Oh, come on, man. The Department of War sounds so much cooler.
Yeah, sure.
Is that the new name of it or something?
That's
It
the
actually
official
is,
name
yeah.
of it. Yeah.
Is it new or is that?
Yeah, that's new. That's a Trump thing.
That's what we're supposed to call it. is
That's
the
what
Department
Trump
of War.
called it.
Yeah,
But I can
Is that why
he officially renamed it.
Did he also actually rename the Gulf of Mexico? Is it the
yeah.
Gulf of America now?
Well,
or
Depending on Google
from
Maps,
an
it
from
is.
an American
is it really?
from an American official government standpoint, it's the Gulf of America.
Yeah.
Google acquiesced, and now they call it the Gulf of America, but they do put in parentheses Gulf of Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Reuters refuses to call it the Gulf of America, and therefore they have been kicked out of the White House.
Oh,
I think
okay.
they're now allowed back in because they sued,
Yeah.
but they got kicked out of the press corps because they refused to rename it, just because the president says so.
I wonder if the next president, that's just his first act, is renaming all this crap.
Well, I mean, if
just go
it
right back.
becomes that easy to do it,
Yeah.
then yeah, I believe that people will start abusing that power.
I'm surprised we don't have like the Gulf of Trump.
But believe me, I'm pretty sure he's thought about it. It is attractive, to want to have some way to go through all the code in the government and make sure that it is protected from bad foreign adversaries or bad internal adversaries.
Well, see, now that makes sense when you spin it in that frame. But
as far as keeping it from being placed into weapon systems where it can make autonomous decisions,
yeah.
what to fire a weapon at, that is one of the scariest scenarios that we've been imagining, long before what we now call AI was even, possible.
Yeah. Well, are we sacrificing freedoms for security? That's what it seems like we're doing.
That would be exactly what we're doing.
I think we got some questions. Yeah.
We do. We will forever know tomorrow, because tomorrow is the ultimatum deadline, as either the day that we made the biggest technological leap as far as the military is concerned, or the day that we started the fall of the Terminators. And this is the day that Arnold Schwarzenegger will actually come back to.
Oh, yeah.
Today,
To swing it.
to start it all over.
If you see anything unusual out there in the wild, be sure to let people know. Report that.
If you see any lightning balls on the ground and some naked humanoid come out of them, we're in the Terminator script.
All
right. So let's get to a little bit of Q&A.
Yeah.
We've got a few loaded up here. If AI becomes a national security race, how does that impact the economy?
I don't know. If AI becomes a national security race?
Yeah, I think what we're looking at is if the race for which company is going to incorporate itself into the government contracts, kind of like what we have now. What does that do about the economy moving forward in some of these AI companies that are now really starting to take a hold of a lot of our technology moving forward?
Well, I mean, my first thought is that the AI will be taking a lot of the jobs that are done in the Department of Defense or whatever. You got a lot of analysts out there. You got a lot of people that are involved in all kinds of logistics things and things like that, so So naturally, the pitch would be, in my opinion, for the AI would be, hey, okay, here's one. And Jon Stewart, made a point of this, but the Department of Defense has failed like most of their audits, in the past 20 years. And they've literally got, like hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars just missing, that they can't account for. And they say, well, the equipment is there somewhere that we bought or we paid for or whatever. So it's not like they're saying that people just embezzled the money from the Department of Defense.
Okay.
But they don't know where the stuff is. They don't know where the equipment is. They don't have a good handle on it. So if AI can run through all that and produce a report and say, you know what, here's your missing $1 trillion worth of stuff. This is where it's at, and it brings it within a couple $100 million or something. That would obviously be super attractive. And it would probably cut thousands of jobs of people who are supposed to be doing this work and obviously can't.
We've discussed this a few times in prior episodes about how AI will affect kind of the economy and business in general. But just as a kind of a question of economy, obviously there's a lot of industries and a lot of jobs that are at risk. A lot of legacy software, a lot of cybersecurity stuff. A lot of companies out there, their stocks are probably taking a hit right now or have been steadily going down. I can't imagine IBM is going to survive this one. They run on a ton of legacy software. If this kind of new AI can fix code like you're talking about and kind of bring new stuff into the modern century, like we work with the IRS every single day. They are on 60-year-old systems in some of their places. That's why it takes so long to get crap done with the IRS. If this new AI can fix those things, I think it's going to reshape the economy. We're going to lose a lot of jobs. There's a lot of at-risk places, but I also think that there's going to be a lot of new jobs. With every time we've seen a huge disruption in the market, there's one side that's going to say, well, everybody's going to lose their jobs. We're all going to be broke and having to live off the government. But there's always new things that come around. Now, you and I disagreed on this on one of our podcasts where we talked about it. You think that this is the one. This is the one that's going to put a lot of people out of work.
I don't see the replacement jobs, to be honest with you, because here's the thing with that. Like, we could look at the horse and buggy and say, okay, well, you know what? Cars necessitate mechanics. Cars are more complicated than buggies. So therefore, we're going to need more people who know more about these things. We're going to need people who know how to fix parts of cars, right? Yeah. There will be specialists for transmissions and so on. So we can follow all that because we can see the easy progression of it, right?
Yeah.
But what do 100,000 logistics people do when they're done? There's no job for them. Are they all going to become massage therapists? And then who's going to be able to afford them?
Artisan shoemakers, cheese makers, wine makers.
Maybe we return to that. I don't know.
I think that's what's going to happen.
Where do the remaining humans get the money to pay the artisan shoemakers to make their shoes?
Well, it'll just be like an economy. They'll make money and they'll sell it to other people who have jobs who make money doing something else.
Well, let's hope that that's what happens. Let's hope that we end up with an economy of people who are more doing things for other people in a way that is sensible rather than a quasi-slavery, servile, where it's the masses are literally servants of the elite.
Well, that's one way to think about it, and that's certainly a dystopian view that has been taken in a lot of movies and a lot of books and people. It's definitely a path that humanity could go down. There's also the flip side, though, that we rarely talk about, where if AI were to take over and not be the Terminator, but really help get our economy back on track and help with food production and increasing all of that, we as a people wouldn't have a lot of wants and needs anymore if everything worked well. So maybe it'll be a utopia rather than a dystopian nightmare.
No, I don't disagree with that. Maybe the whole purpose of machinery and all that is supposed to be to get more production in less time, right? So if the machine can do the production, the question is do the humans see the fruit of that efficiency or not? Right. And that's where you're going with it. And I would hope that we would get to that. I'd hope that we would have a world where humans can frolic and play and have leisure and turn our brains toward artistic and creativity, whatever it is that AI absolutely cannot do.
Right.
You know, AI will never be able to tell you why a rose smells sweet.
Right.
You know, that sort of thing. So that would be great, you know, if we end up with a situation where everyone has, you know, there's no homeless, there's no hunger, there's no starvation, there's no, you know, there's very little disease, things like that. You know, people can just live and enjoy their lives.
Yeah.
But in order for that to happen, we will have to have a total revamping of our economy. We'll have to have a different distribution of wealth. And maybe AI comes along and says, you know what, after we've done all this analysis on everything, right, we have decided that no one should ever be a billionaire anymore. You know, thank you for your ideas. Thank you for getting us, humanity, to this point. We'll take over all the food production right now. We'll take over all this. We'll take over all the defense.
Yeah.
You know, no one's going to be bombing anyone else.
I still think that there's going to be room in all of these sectors for people. There'll be enough room for people to find jobs, at least for the next 50 years. And then who knows?
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, I think we'll see.
We'll see. I mean, I don't want to think of it as a dystopian thing either.
Yeah. What's our next one?
Can you push back if the government forces you to use your business for their purposes, even if their purposes are immoral? I can actually answer that one.
Yeah, feel free.
Yes, and it will be expensive. There are law firms out there that dedicate a specialty part of their practice to going against the eminent domain laws and eminent domain cases and things like that. Ultimately, the government does have a very high rate of winning those cases, but it's not impossible for you to come out of. But it's going to cost you a lot of money, and you're ultimately probably or more likely to just end up accepting a payout from the government that's going to be just about equivalent to your legal fees, which could end up being an even loss for you with also losing the property. So if it's a situation where your home or whatever it is, your business is not a designated like historical site or something like that, and the government wants that piece of land, they're willing to fight you for longer than you could fight them.
It usually is a lose-lose situation if you try to go up against the government. You can win the case, but you go bankrupt trying to fight them.
Yeah, you know, that's why I think we need to have, you know, some kind of insurance as citizens, just by being a citizen, that if the government loses, they have to pay you back everything that you put in and more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there has to be some amount of time factor there that is paid back, something that it is a deterrent for the government to try it again. The question was, can you do something if their intention is immoral? Right? Now we get into the questions of morality, and that becomes even murkier.
It really does. I mean, there's not a lot of great options, and there's not options that I can really say here without asking about like a specific situation. But I mean, like, let's say you had a product just like Anthropic. I mean, Anthropic has the decision on whether they're going to allow it or not. And if they don't, then the government's going to react with the Defense Production Act. They're going to say we need it for national security. And then Anthropic's going to be forced with a choice. They're either going to have to fight it and probably spend millions and millions of dollars fighting it.
Anthropic has the resources, though, to do that.
Maybe. I mean, I know we've talked $200 million contract, but they haven't got a check for $200 million. I think I read that they raised like $30 million, probably in an effort to get to this point. I bet they don't have $10 million sitting in a bank ready for a legal fee. Worth? You know, well, it's like, worth the contract.
Do they have any revenue other than this?
I have no idea. I haven't looked.
Like, why Anthropic instead of someone else? You know, and why not? You know, OpenAI. Why not? Why is the government not developing their own?
Well,
all of these are
100% the government's working on their own.
Think,
it's just Anthropic's probably a little ahead, and they want to get it faster. But there are certainly some dudes in a government basement trying to come up with an AI for the government.
Yeah, I mean, didn't Elon Musk, you know, employ his AI when he was the whole Doge thing?
So I guess my answer to the question is, if the government wants it, you're kind of screwed.
And isn't this what? And by the way, isn't this what Palantir is doing?
It's really going to suck. Yeah, a lot of companies are
You know,
doing that.
Palantir has got some pretty significant contracts with the government as well, and they are trying to build profiles on every American and
Yep.
surveil everything, and
Yep.
they're basically building profiles on everyone on the planet of any significance.
Yep. But apparently Anthropic's doing it better. The
I
AI
don't
is
know.
better and they want
can't
it.
I can't tell that from what we've researched so far.
No, but I mean, that's just the line of logic. If the
But the
government wants
question-
it that bad, it's because it's better.
Well, or they think it's better, but
Right.
I mean, it's you know, what do they say? They're threatening to label them a supply chain risk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they call them some kind of national security risk.
So
and then
you're
they'll
a
snatch
risk
it.
unless we control you.
Exactly. That's
You
the
know?
government, baby.
I think that kind of goes back to also what I was saying about how they're already incorporated,
Mhm.
and then it becomes a risk or a worry of liability by the government of saying how much of this information, if we sever ties, do you retain, and is that's a national security risk to us, obviously.
Yeah.
What is the Claude code security? It says it immediately triggered a massive sell-off in legacy software and cybersecurity stocks like IBM and CrowdStrike.
Yeah, so we were just talking about that. That's a disruption in the economy that's happening. IBM and CrowdStrike have a lot of legacy
Can you
software.
scroll up a little bit?
If this
down.
program can do what you said it could do, and we have it down here, 500 zero-day bugs autonomously, supposedly this program will be able to overwrite a lot of this legacy code, fix everything, bring it into the new modern era of computers. And so a lot of these kind of older companies are going to be going out the wayside. A lot of them are still running on COBOL, which I think is very old.
So if
crazy.
AI can now modernize a 60-year-old COBOL code in weeks, destroying IBM's moat, what tedious part of your business is currently your moat? If your value is just doing the work, you are at risk. So, like if I thought about my business,
Mhm.
right? Like I have had customers send me pictures of cases that were created with AI,
Okay.
where they have given the AI some kind of prompt and said, you know, make me a case that looks like this.
Mm-hmm.
And we have received pictures of cases that are physically impossible to make,
Yeah.
you know, but what it has done though is it has opened up a conversation with the customer.
Okay.
So we can explain to the customer what's physically possible, what's not. And we have gotten several orders from customers now where they've started with their top line fantasy idea of what they want as rendered by AI.
Mm-hmm.
And now they will be getting a case from us that incorporates the theme that they were thinking about, but just done as we can do it. So in this sense, right, you know that we are the only company in our space that has an online designer.
Mm-hmm.
So if AI could become an online designer for everyone, for all of my competitors, that was good enough where they could build cases off of that, then yes, we would lose our competitive advantage
Yeah, for sure.
if it were able to do that.
Well,
Now,
and the company was able to create anything, which again, I think is a long ways off.
right.
I think we got some more questions.
Yeah. If I use, and I really like this question actually. If I use AI in my business and it makes a bad decision or a mistake, who's liable?
You are 100%. Yeah, you are liable. You cannot blame AI. Ignorance or making a mistake cannot be blamed on the computer program or AI. You have to double check everything that comes out of AI.
Yeah, if someone is contracting with your business, right, to get something done, you're providing a service, and that service is not done correctly, then yes, you're liable for that to the extent that your contract assigns liability.
Yeah, and if they were to sue you for a mistake you made too, and you said, "Well, I relied on AI to get it done," the argument will just be, "Well, you should have known better."
Exactly. It's no different than using a faulty tool or something like that, or,
Yeah.
or a faulty type of cement or something like that in a pillar.
Yeah, I'll give you a perfect example of this, and it's in my line of work as an accountant. I do your business returns, right? I mean, in all honesty, you don't know what's on most of the return. You just rely on me to do the work, right?
Correct.
If I make a mistake and you get a penalty, it's your fault. It's not mine. Like that's the government's standpoint. It's your fault that a mistake was done on the return, not mine, because you should have reviewed it and you should know what goes on it.
Right.
And that's crazy. That's crazy. Like, I mean, honestly, it should be accountants. There should be a line of the accountant was doing the work. He should know.
So based on that, I think we need to revise a contract between us.
Oh, why?
I think you should take liability since you just said you wanted it.
Oh, no. I definitely don't want it. I'm just saying it's crazy that that's not the law.
I mean, that's pretty well played there.
I mean, it was. It was. I'm still not going to do it, but I'm just throwing it out there. Like, it's crazy. And you know, accountants.
Who wants to bet this episode doesn't air?
No, accountants do have.
Oh, we're live.
Yeah. Accountants do have errors and omissions insurance. So if I make a blatant mistake on something, that was my fault. You can get insurance money and sue me for it. But you know, and you can do that to all accountants if they make really heinous mistakes. But things like when things should be filed or when things should be done or like information that you get to me, just little tiny things can be blamed on, you know, the business owner.
So
for
that
not
does
knowing.
bring up,
And so that just circles back to the AI situation of if AI gives you the wrong information, you act on that information and do something wrong, it's your fault because you should have double checked it.
right. So now we have a question of going back to what jobs will be created. Will we have jobs that are AI auditors?
Sure.
Will those auditors be other AIs?
No, I think there'll be people that audit the information that come out, and then there'll be auditors for the auditors. See, it's a whole new industry, auditing AI. We just created it.
So basically the whole world is just going to be a bunch of fact checkers.
Yep.
Speaking of our last question, should I audit how my employees are using AI tools?
Oh, yes and no. This kind of circles back to that question of like, you know, for a lot of business owners, is it about them working like the full day or is it about them accomplishing the task? You know, I like my employees in the office because I can see them doing work, but a lot of people like to work from home. That makes sense. But if somebody can, you know, and when I started my very first job, they would drag 2 or 3 hours of work into an 8-hour day just so they looked busy the whole time because they knew if they finished, then you'd have too much stuff done. And so like when AI comes in, people's jobs are going to get a lot faster. So as the business owner, do you care that somebody's working 8 hours fully for your day, or do you care that just the job gets done and you're paying them for the job? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
Like it's less about like the time they spend and more just like, is the job getting done?
It totally depends on what the job is, right?
Right.
So if I need advertisements done, right, I don't care if it takes Dylan an hour to do those advertisements and they came out great, or if it took her 12 hours to do it.
I think she cares, but you
She
don't.
cares, right? You know, but I have a deadline. I say, hey, I need 2 ads by next Friday, and if she's got them done on Monday, and then I don't give a shit, right? It's done.
Right.
Now, if we're talking about the pool hall business, right? Well, people have to stand around there and be available for service anytime a customer needs service.
Yep.
Right? So now when I'm watching them standing around, even though a customer is not requesting service at the moment, if some other part of the business needs attention, like the floors need to be mopped or the tables wiped or something, or stock needs to be taken, they should be using that time to do it. So then I do care about, you know, what they're doing in each hour that I'm paying.
Right.
For that. So
all right, that makes sense.
Now, if for example, one of my employees said, hey, I can use this AI, and this does exist, you know, with your camera, you can just kind of scan your beer cooler and it immediately, you know, identifies all the brands, identifies how many bottles you have
gives
there.
you an inventory count.
It does all the inventory for you right there. And so something that used to take him an hour to go through and hand count everything now takes 5 minutes.
Right.
I'm totally cool with that. So if I walk in and he's standing around and all of the tasks have been done, then I'm not going to jump on him.
Right.
You know, I'm going to say, hey, great. That's awesome. You know,
right. Because you value the task getting accomplished more than how they're actually spending their time.
Right. Now, if they're available for our customers who need whatever they need, a soda, food, whatever, that's fine. They're available. Yeah. Now, if they did their inventory in 5 minutes and then they've screwed off to the bathroom and they're going to sit there for an hour where they're not available to the customers, then there's a problem.
Right.
Right. So I think that the question being, how does do you monitor how they're using AI? Yeah, you do. If
Well,
you need, well, just let me
go
finish.
ahead,
If
yeah.
you need AI, if you need the result to be accurate,
Mhm.
then you need to be making sure that those results are accurate, right? So
Auditing the AI.
you need to be auditing the output of the AI, and if you find discrepancy, then you need to say, just like you would with your employees, how did this come to be?
Mhm.
You know, why is there a mistake here?
Well, that was the next thing I was going to jump into is that, I was talking more about them using AI to make their jobs done faster and then maybe not doing other things. You do also need to check how they're using AI to make sure that things are working correctly. You're going to have to audit it because like we talked about, AI is not always 100% accurate today. Like it's still fallible. It still messes up. It mostly just searches Google or finds the right answers or thinks for itself.
You know what
So-
trips me out is the reports where I've seen lawyers, they're basically preparing their whole case using AI,
Mhm.
and the judges are like, "What the hell is this? Where did you go to law school?"
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like attorneys doing that is like tripping me out because I'm like, people's like fates hang in the balance with a lot of these cases, you know,
Yeah.
and these dudes are just like thinking, oh well, AI, knows more than me.
Right.
I don't have a paralegal to do this.
Well,
And
to be fair, I've used AI a few times at ChatGPT and stuff to just ask it like questions like, hey, where do I put this particular line item that I couldn't remember on some form that I rarely use? But once I get that information, I then go to the IRS website to double check that that's all correct. And it just helps. It helps lessen the time I'm searching for something because it helps point me to the right spot.
and
So
usually it'll
using
give
AI
you that
like
reference where you can double check it.
Using AI like that has worked well for me, but I don't just go like, here's all the numbers, tell me where to plug them in, and then just absentmindedly plug them in. I use it as a research tool, and that's where it really benefits.
That would be
I
kind of
think.
like if I just gave AI access to my bank accounts and said,
Yeah,
"Here,
do a
do
tax
my taxes."
Right. Yeah. It's crazy.
You know.
Yeah.
I'm
It will not do
pretty
things
sure that
correctly.
the IRS would have something to say about that.
Actually, you know what? That's an interesting thought. Maybe we should try that. We should try to give them like a sample of your business and say, make a P&L, and then I can see how close it matches mine.
I guarantee you, people are already doing that.
Yeah,
Probably.
Probably.
I'll tell you what, if my attorney shows up to defend me, they got some AI research case notes. Yeah, we finna have an assault charge on top of whatever we already got going. Because
But you might not know that.
we gonna know.
you know?
We gonna know. If the judge call it out, I'm gonna know.
Yeah.
Well, also, if they just print them out, ChatGPT has a very specific way it like lines things out, so you can tell when they just print them out. Any other questions?
Nah, that's it, man.
Any final thoughts on this AI craziness?
Yeah, you can tell ChatGPT not to print things out the way that it looks like ChatGPT.
Oh, can you?
Yeah, I mean that's part of the deal, right? You can make it. Haven't you seen the ones where people have like tricked it into showing them how to make a bomb and stuff? Like.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, guys, we just got some breaking news.
Oh, what's
no.
that?
Netflix bows out of Warner Brothers auction. Paramount claims the prize.
Oh, so Paramount's going to buy them.
Paramount's gonna get get to buy out Netflix.
Well, that'll be good
Wait,
then.
they're buying out Netflix or they're buying out what? What were they trying to buy?
I mean, Netflix is going. Paramount is going to
Buy Warner Brothers Discovery.
Right. That's what it was. So
And
now
I
it'll
think
be-
that was one of the options we preferred in our long episode.
It actually was the overall. I think it was the better for the consumer option.
Right. Yeah, that'll be nice.
Yeah. So a little bit of breaking news on here, but we do want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you guys want to close us out.
Oh, well, just check us out, turtlesmith.com, at turtlesmith, at all our socials. And if you have any questions, hit us up on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or wherever you can find us. Ask a question. We'll be happy to highlight it on the next live or the next episode. We can talk way more in detail about it.
or
that's it.
either us or our AI representations will answer you.
There you go. Yeah. Do you think eventually we'll just have AI doing podcasts? I'm sure they already do that, right?
They
Pretty
do.
much.
They do. There was one
Gross.
I listened to was like Joe Rogan or something, and it's like Joe Rogan actually had it done.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah, those deep fake deals. Yeah, crazy.
Well, if we're not back next week here at 4:30, then that means the Terminator actually happened. Until then, thank everybody, and make sure you go check out the new podcast episode on our channel. Just released yesterday for Turtlesmith, and then tomorrow morning we've got a new episode from Sense of Direction as well. Follow us on all our socials at Turtlesmith OK. And hey, we appreciate you guys for tuning in.
Go John Connor.
Jesus.